I just watched Cruising on a 7 a.m. flight. I spent the entire time terrified the person next to me would glance at my screen and see some guy doing kinky to another guy in a leather sling and think I was watching porn. Which raises the question, was I? Is it? Al Pacino plays an undercover cop who infiltrates gay leather bars in 1980 to catch a serial killer. The film shows explicit sex acts, the kind most movies today still won't touch. But, and this is what really frustrated me, the film does something with those sex scenes that I think is cowardly. It's also deeply flawed. The film doesn't always seem to understand what it's showing. Friedkin is documenting a world he's clearly an outsider to, and that creates friction, sometimes productive, sometimes just clumsy. The question it left me with is Cruising a film about gay men or a film using gay men to explore straight anxiety about contamination and transformation? Now let's dig into it. The briefing scene is an abrupt set of questions to set up Pacino's character.
Have you ever had your by a man?
A man? No.
I'm watching his face trying to figure out, is he disgusted and hiding it, or is he not disgusted at all? There's an interrogation scene later that still doesn't make sense to me. The movie never explains it. I don't think it's supposed to, but I'll get to that part later. The first thing Pacino does after the assignment cracks me up. There's this hard cut to him in bed with a woman. It happens so fast it feels defensive, a way of quickly insisting he's not gay. Karen Allen, the girlfriend, lies on Pacino's lap. When she talks, the camera cuts back to Burns, and his eyes kept shifting. And I kept going back to that part trying to read him. That's the point. The film isn't trying to show you something distant. It's trying to show you something about how you watch, what you're afraid to want, what you're afraid to admit you recognize. The first bar hits me immediately. Leather everywhere, porn playing on the TVs like it's a football game, bodies pressed together, music pounding, and I'm watching on a plane trying to keep my screen hidden while simultaneously trying to see every detail inside this bar. By the third or fourth bar, it all starts to blur. Same porn loops, same leather configuration, different men, same codes. The colored bandanas show up, the hanky code.
What are they for?
A light blue hanky in your left back pocket means you want to.
There's a moment where a guy approaches Pacino and gets visibly upset when he realizes Pacino's wearing a hanky he doesn't understand the meaning of.
If you like to watch, take that hanky out of your pocket, ass.
The guy seems pissed, but also embarrassed. I've been to a leather bar once, the Eagle, and I went because I was almost 30 and wanted to branch out and see if it did anything for me. Porn was playing on every screen, the urinals were one big trough, guys were making out, pinching nipples, I don't know, a lot was going on. So I headed to the one place that is always consistent at a bar, which is the bar. And as I was walking over, a guy looked in my direction. His eyes lit up and he waved. I thought, wow, I should go to bars like this more often. Then I went to approach him and my foot went out from under me. I went down fast and I could smell what I'd slipped on before I even registered the fall. Lube. I tried to get up quickly, tried to make it look like nothing happened, and that's when I realized the guy hadn't been waving at me at all. He'd been waving at his friend behind me. What I find so interesting is that the hanky code means you don't have to ask for what you want out loud. It's a small moment, but it shows how much of the leather scene is still about trying to connect without embarrassing yourself. Somewhere around the midpoint, I noticed Pacino changing. There's a dance scene where Pacino looks genuinely present. I couldn't tell if he was losing himself or just discovering that you can feel something without it meaning anything. That's so much more unsettling to me than undercover cop discovers that he's secretly gay. Because it suggests that desire isn't always about identity. Sometimes it's just about opportunity and permission. Also, yes, by the way, the movie has a serial killer plot, but I kept wanting to get back to the bars, to see what Pacino was learning. Like, I didn't know existed in 1980. I mean, I didn't know the technology existed. If there was a trivia question asking me to guess when became a thing in the gay community, I would have guessed like 2005. Again, I'm watching this on a plane, screen tilted at my chest, neck tense, glancing around, checking my surroundings every 5 seconds. If the guy next to me wakes up right now and sees my screen, I have absolutely no way to explain what he's seeing. There's a scene where Pacino asks to be tied up. except we don't actually see what happens. The camera stays outside with the police surveillance team. We hear Steve over the radio asking to be tied up. And when the cops bust in, Steve says to them, "What are you doing here?" Like he wanted to keep going. The film boxes us out intentionally. We can't determine if Steve is doing this for duty or pleasure or both. This is the interrogation scene I mentioned earlier. I still don't know what I watched. Pacino is questioning a suspect when, out of nowhere, a man in nothing but a jockstrap walks up and slaps him across the face.
What the hell was that?
And the movie just keeps going. It had no buildup. Like, this is normal and allowed. Is this real? Is this fantasy? Did the movie just slip into Pacino's imagination without telling me? Because what the hell was that? The fact that this is happening in a police station where Pacino is supposed to have authority and suddenly doesn't, it was just really intense and strange. Definitely caught my attention. Then Pacino steps outside the interrogation room, grabs the guy's cowboy hat, and chucks it out the window, which just made me laugh at my own confusion of what was going on. The thing about Pacino looking like the killer, in terms of what they're seeking in those bars, they're both drawn to something they can't have in the daylight. They both use anonymity to explore parts of themselves they can't integrate into their public lives. The movie ends with nothing resolved. The case closes, Pacino's assignment is over, and there's this final shot of him standing in his apartment, looking at himself in a mirror, while his girlfriend is in the background, wearing his police hat and leather jacket. She's playing dress up with his work clothes. Pacino's looking at himself in the mirror, trying to figure out what parts of what he just experienced were costume and what parts weren't. Is Cruising a film about gay men, or a film using gay men to explore straight anxiety about contamination and transformation? Because it's definitely one of those. Maybe both. Friedkin made this film in 1980, before leather culture had much visibility outside its own communities, before most of America even knew this world existed. And he made it with no sympathetic narrator or moral framing. It was just raw documentation mixed with exploitation thriller. And yes, it is exploitative. The film absolutely codes gay sexuality, especially kinky, public, unapologetic gay sexuality, as dangerous. The killer is gay, the victims are gay, the bars are claustrophobic and threatening, the straight cop who enters this world is slowly contaminated by it. That reading is right there. You can't ignore it. But here's the complication. Friedkin is documenting. The leather bars are shown in all their specificity. The gear, the codes, the physicality, the power exchange, without sanitizing it. I can understand why this movie was protested when it came out. The violence is real, the coding is real, the fear is real. But also, the bars are real. The desire is real. The unapologetic physicality is real. And Friedkin shows that, even if he doesn't celebrate it. And here's the thing that keeps nagging at me. The film shows Steve getting close to actual sex with men, but never quite going there. He asks to be tied up. We hear it over the police radio, but then we're boxed out. We don't see his face. We don't know if he wanted it or was just doing his job. And then when the cops bust in, Steve says, "What are you doing here?" Like he wants to keep going. Let Steve have sex with men. It doesn't make you gay. It doesn't make you bi. But don't give in to your curiosity, regret it, and then do a hard pivot and take political action that weakens the rights of openly gay people. I'm giving Cruising a 7 out of 10. This movie is fearless in ways most films aren't. It shows the 1980s gay leather scene in explicit, unapologetic detail. It casts Al Pacino, one of the biggest stars at that time, and puts him in bars where men are openly and negotiating power. For a major studio film in 1980, that's insane. I make videos like this every week, following the moment where a film stops being something you watch and starts being something that implicates you. Cruising was that film for me this time. If you've seen Cruising, I want to know, do you think Steve wanted to keep going back to the bars even when his assignment ended? And if you were a gay man in the leather scene in 1979, watching Friedkin's camera turn your sanctuary into a crime scene, would you have felt documented or exploited? Because I still don't know which one I'd choose. Let me know in the comments, and if this kind of unresolved friction is your thing, there's a whole archive of films here that won't give you easy answers. Check them out, and thank you for watching.